Welcome to the Simple Farmhouse Life podcast, episode 38. Today, I'm bringing on a special guest, my friend Andrea from Pine and Prospect Home. We are going to share our top tips and strategies and things that we've learned about decorating our homes on a budget with thrift shop and antique shops and DIYs. So let's dive in. My name is Lisa, mom of 6 and creator of the blog and YouTube channel Farmhouse on Boone. Join me as I share with you my love for creating a handmade home from scratch cooking and a little mom and entrepreneur life along the way. So I am on today with my friend Andrea from Pine and Prospect Home. She has a blog and a very blossoming YouTube channel. She's carved out a niche of, correct me if I'm wrong, but like thrifty decor and DIY that doesn't look cheesy is how I was trying to describe it to my husband. Like it's upscale looking. Yeah, because sometimes, you thrift store decor sometimes ends up looking just like it came from the thrift shop. So I thought it'd be fun to have you on here to talk about some of your best tips, and we can, talk about some of mine, just discuss that vibe and how you get it. So tell us a little bit about your blog and your YouTube and Instagram.
Well, I started my blog, in 2017. I've been more consistently blogging, probably within the past year, ever since I took your course. So once I took your course, that kind of put the fire under me, and I was like, I'm going to take this seriously, and obviously your success is so inspirational. And so I think I've been seriously blogging for the past year, but technically for about 3 years. So, my blog, my blog is about, thrifty decor, and I just wanted to show people that you don't have to have a ton of money to have a beautiful home. So
you should see her home. It's so pretty. And I was looking through your YouTube channel, just kind of preparing and looking at some of your recent DIYs, and you have you have a cottage, your whole home tour that does really well on YouTube, right?
Yeah. I put that on YouTube, and I feel like it didn't really go. I mean, viral for me is different than viral for you. But I feel like suddenly within this past year, it really started to spike. I started to notice people watching it, and it seems like that one really did do pretty well.
Well, you have a really great before and after, because you took something that is...
I live in one of those, in the 1930s, those English cottage style, there was like an English cottage revival style home.
Okay.
Homes being built. I feel like, a lot of those, the round doors and the pitched roof. And so that's the style home that I live in. And so
I love that roof on the front. That just is such a unique feature.
Yeah. So I think I've just really, I wasn't like this when we first moved in, but over the years I've started to embrace that style. I mean, that's the style of the home that I live in. And so now I'm trying to incorporate that same cottage style on the inside of my home. But it's hard. I don't really know what to call it. It's hard to pin down what your style is.
But I think you're right though about that, like doing the style of what your house is, because what you have going on in your house looks so beautiful and so natural to your home.
Well, thank you. That's a huge compliment. But it kind of goes back to like when you moved into your farmhouse and you said your decor from your previous farmhouse didn't fit with the Victorian style. Like you sort of, I don't know, you want to incorporate the style of the home and when it was built into your own style. I mean, you don't have to do that, but I think that's what really helps to make a home feel so, cohesive and like everything fits and was meant to be in there, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I love all of your DIYs are very put together, and they look, sometimes you do not a knockoff, but you'll do something that you might have seen at Pottery Barn, but then for next to nothing.
Right. I have a table like that.
I saw that.
There's a small table actually, and a lot of my decor I got at thrift stores, but a lot of it is garage sale stuff. A lot of it was hand-me-downs from, grandmothers or my mom. My mom loves antiques. And so I really benefit from that because a lot of times she'll be getting rid of stuff. Or if I'm looking for something specific, I can text her and ask and say, hey, do you happen to have any tables you're not using?
So she has actually, like a collection of stuff.
Yes. So she happened to have a table, and it was super dark, like dark mahogany stain. And I stripped it. I used citrus strip on it, and now it has like a really pretty restoration hardware style, style finish on it.
And did you share that? You shared that process on your blog, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I have a whole post on it. Yep.
Yeah.
I used the citrus strip spray on that one, which is really different. So I shared that whole process.
Oh, okay.
It's on the blog.
I've never seen that before. The citrus strip
really
spray.
Interesting. Yeah.
So what are some of your other favorite thrifty DIYs? I know you have the table, and then I also saw a really cool headboard, which, by the way, I think you should put on your blog.
Yeah, I know. That was one of those projects when I wasn't super serious about blogging, and I sort of wish that I had. Maybe
but you still can, because I did that too. After I started my blog, I had things like that in my house, and you don't even necessarily have to have all the process shots to post it.
And I did actually take some pictures of the process, but I should break that down.
I think that would really go well on Pinterest, and I would make a YouTube video about it. Is that kind of,
I should. But same thing. I mean, basically, and I know we're kind of talking about thrifting, but just being thrifty in general too. Like there's, I don't know if it's just the way I was raised or the way I grew up, but I don't know. I never want to pay full price for for something. It just makes me sick to my stomach. I'm like, there is no way I'm paying that. I know I can do that cheaper. I can make it or I can recreate it, and that's just how my husband and I are. I mean, we never hire anyone to do anything because he's always like, I can figure out how to do that.
Yeah. And it's satisfying when you look around your house, probably in every corner you see something like, ooh, that's that $5 dresser that I, turned into something that looks like it came from Restoration Hardware. And there's, that is satisfying.
And I'm not going to lie, like, I don't always enjoy the process. I'm not one of those people that, I love the process. I will admit there are times that I feel like, man, I do wish we could hire someone, I wish we could, but you're right. The end result, when you look back at it and you actually finish it, you're like, wow, we did that, So it is super satisfying. For sure.
And sometimes too, when you hire someone, what we find too is people aren't available. It's difficult to find someone. So even then, it's not the instant gratification that you're hoping for. Yeah. So sometimes, you also won't get it exactly how you want it. And there's definitely, of any DIY, there's hard parts of the process that you're just like, you'd rather just not do it. But the end result. Sure. So any other that stand out in your house that you've done?
Oh man,
you've done so many.
I know. I feel like everything in my home is a DIY. Oh my goodness. I mean,
recently I saw your dishwasher. That was cool. Because was that, so I didn't read the post. Was it a panel ready dishwasher, or did you just somehow make over? Okay.
It was here when we moved in. And I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of stainless steel. It just looks really modern, and I feel like I'm just loving more and more that authentic cottage style, that looks like, old.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, so I had been I want to say the past 2 years, I had been joking with my husband about, can we hide that thing? Can you, what can you do? And once we got our new sink, so we got a new sink, like a high-back sink. I saw that.
Sink. That was cool,
Yep. It's actually similar. I was looking at your kitchen the other day, and you have one, too.
Yep.
It's but yours is an antique.
It is.
Mine is, so mine's newer. But anyways, once that went in, the dishwasher just stuck out like a sore thumb. It was awful. It was like, those two do not belong together. This gorgeous high-back sink with this beautiful vintage-style faucet next to this, black and stainless steel dishwasher. So, we found this really cool product, these thin little tongue and groove reclaimed boards at our hardware store, and my husband figured out a way to to hide it and make it look like a little pine chest. So
it is really neat, because usually I'm used to seeing, well, whenever we did our kitchen, we ended up not doing a dishwasher, but we were going to try to do like a panel ready one, and we just could not make it all fit. And so this is it's neat because it's not the color of your cabinets. It looks like you have like another piece of furniture nestled between your cabinets. So yeah, it's unique.
Yeah,
Very cool.
I was really happy with the way it turned out.
So what are your top favorite places to get things? Like, I like to go to, I'm an antique shop person, but I'm sure
Same.
you probably, okay, because I know in your area, well, I've been to Michigan. I don't know where you are there, but we found some cool antique shops there.
Yeah.
But also a lot of like boutique ones. You know, there's ones that you know are going to be more expensive if they're curated. A lot of times here too, like antique malls are expensive. Where do you find your best bargains?
It's so funny because I used to not like going antiquing because I thought they were too expensive. But my mom loves to antique, and she would always tell me, you just have to become familiar with the antique store and know which booths. You know, she says, I just completely avoid specific booths because I know the prices are just crazy.
You can usually tell, like, if they're really curated and pretty, like the owner like knows what they have, whereas some people are just trying to dump stuff, you know? Yep.
So now I enjoy antiquing because I found some really great stuff, and I know which booths are more affordable. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The cool thing about antique stores is everything's going to be, for the most part, everything's going to be old and vintage. And, with thrift stores, sometimes you have to sort through the junk.
Yes,
you know what I'm
you
saying?
will get a better price.
Yes. So, I don't know. And not to say, believe me, I've seen some junk at antique stores too, but not as much as you find at thrift stores,
Yeah.
So
I have a few antique shops around here that I know if I go, I will find, like, if I need something specific, like, let's say you want, like, a 5-gallon ironstone, 5-gallon, oh my gosh, 1-gallon ironstone pitcher, you'll find it, like, for sure, but it's going to be, like, $80.
Exactly.
Whereas you might come across that at a garage sale, you know, so if you need something now, the perfect size, you might have to pay more for it. And
yeah, for sure. I find that, like, a lot of the larger chains, like Goodwill, for example, I love how they'll have days where, like, a certain color is half off. But I mean, even the smaller thrift shops, like our thrift shop here in town, they'll do the same thing where they have certain colors, tags that are half off, or they'll say, like, all of our dishes are 50% off, just because thrift stores are usually overloaded with those kinds of things, and they just need to get rid of that stuff. And those are, you can find some great deals on days like that when everything is marked half off.
That makes sense. Yeah, but you have to check often. That's another thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. I know. And for some, it's just not for everyone. My older sister hates thrifting. Like, she doesn't like it at all. She just doesn't want to sort through the stuff. She doesn't. I mean, because I thrift for everything. I mean, most of my wardrobe is thrifted. My boys, their clothes is mostly thrifted, and she does not want to look through all of those racks and dig through the shelves for things. So I've convinced her a couple times to go with me, but it's not her favorite thing.
I mean, I have to admit, I'm more with her on, like, I really only thrift for the unique style home, but, like, clothes, and it's not that I'm, like, above that. Like, I am not. Like, I'll wear whatever. I just usually want to get the job done really quickly, and so it's like, this just, 4 shirts from the store, we're done, this is it. But you definitely can if you're willing to look for it.
I know. I for sure have to be in the mood to thrift for clothing. I mean, for sure. Like, you have to be, because it is a lot of digging, and you're basically going, piece by piece, essentially, as you go through. So you have to have a full day of it, and I do that probably once every 6 months, and just try to
just get it done for the
family. What do the boys need? So
that's a good idea, though, to put it all on one day and just go for it. That's not something I've tried, but take inventory.
But I can pretty much breeze through the home decor section pretty quickly now, because I know what I'm looking for, and I think that it takes some time to figure out what your style is. I remember a post that you shared on your blog. Oh man, this might have been 2 years ago now. You were talking about, like, minimalism and how you are trying to go through your stuff and get rid of things. And I want to say you talked about how you used to bring home a lot of stuff from thrift stores just because you thought you could make it over.
Right. Yes.
And you ended up just having a lot of junk in your garage or whatever,
yeah.
your shed.
Yes. Yes.
Like, I totally relate with that because I would do the same thing. I would just think, oh, I could do something cool to that and bring it home. And I ended up with a basement full of junky furniture that I never had the time to refinish. So I think over time it just comes with some practice, you know, figuring out what your style is and what is actually a quality piece of furniture.
Yes.
You know, is this real wood or is this made out of, you know, the newer...
Right, because no amount of making it over is going to make that work. Yeah, because I know exactly. I've bought things before that, like if you see the words, you know, if you're looking on like Marketplace or something, needs a total restoration, usually I'll stay away from that because the drawers don't open. And you basically have to rebuild the thing, and it's worth nothing. But if it has, you know, good bones, then you actually can. So what are some of the, like, top things that you say you go in, you look, and you know exactly what you're looking for? What would catch your eye?
Well, first, I will probably glance through the linen section. And this grosses some people out to buy, like, used blankets or pillowcases. But the thing is... a lot of places now, I don't know if you've noticed this if you go thrifting a lot, but like places like Target and Kohl's and even Walmart I've seen are donating a lot of what they call salvaged items to places like Goodwill and Salvation Army. And so my Goodwills here in Michigan have a plethora of brand new items from Target that are just marked as salvaged for whatever reason. And sometimes it's just because of a tiny little stain in the corner, you know, or because there's a pillowcase missing in a bedding set or whatever. So I have actually found some pretty nice, like my duvet cover on my bed is 100% linen
nice.
from Target, and it was $15 at Goodwill.
Oh my
brand
goodness,
new with the tags,
that's like hundreds of dollars usually.
I know. I looked it up and I could not even believe the price that it was on Target's website. But I got it. It was $30, and then it was half off that day at the thrift store. And so I brought it home, opened it up. It was a king size duvet cover, and it was missing one pillowcase, sadly. But I just went on eBay and I found the match on eBay.
Wow, nice.
for like $10 or something. I paid almost as much for one pillowcase, but for 100% linen, you know, it was worth it. But yeah, so I breeze through like the linens, and then of course I love to collect older Falstaff pieces. I don't know if you're familiar with Falstaff dishes. They're real older.
Okay, not so much. Yeah. No, tell me about that.
It's the white heritage pieces, and I actually have a whole blog post on them.
Okay.
But Falstaff is still around today. They still make dishes, but when they used to make dishes here in America, they were just high quality, thicker. They remind you almost like of stoneware, and so I look for those. I have quite the collection on my dining room shelves. I look through the picture frames. You know, I can always use frames. Are so cheap at thrift stores. Books. Sometimes, I don't know, do you use books just for decorating purposes only?
I did more in our old house. I don't have much like bookcases and bookshelves yet in this house. I will at some point, but we just don't. So there's not really a whole lot of places to put them. But
I don't have a ton of them. Yeah, I don't have a ton of them. But here and there, I found some in the built-ins next to my fireplace. I have some books that I scored at a thrift store for like 25 cents each. And they're just, you know, they just add some texture, and I like the way they look. But yeah, I'll check those out. Lamps and lighting is always something that I check for at thrift stores. Because what kind of
lamps do you look for?
Well, again, I have found some brand new Target lamps, which is kind of cool because Target has some really pretty sort of aged brass options now, and I found some of those at Goodwill. The nightstands I look for pine furniture at thrift stores. I have a little cabinet on one side of my desk, or one side of my bed, and then a little like wash stand on the other side. Those were both $15 thrift store finds. So yeah, all over everything.
Yeah.
I don't know, you said what kinds of things do you look for, but I don't go in with a list. I just kind of, I don't know, I kind of look at everything, and if something speaks to me or...
Well, what kind of things have you bought in the past that you now know? And you said like not broken furniture, but furniture that really just doesn't, isn't working properly. And then how have you narrowed down your style? Like, I know you have a lot of neutrals, but then also a lot of texture like wood and wicker and...
Well, one thing I will say, and I don't know, this isn't for everyone, but one thing that I think I've done a lot of over the years is just stripping back, and I feel like less is more to me now. And I think it's very tempting at thrift stores to buy a lot of little stuff, a lot of little junk.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And just kind of clutter all of your surfaces with things.
Right.
I don't know. I used to do that, and I used to feel like every surface had to have a bunch of different little things on it. And so I would come home with stuff all the time from thrift stores, just little, I can't even think, candlesticks and...
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just little trinkets. And now I feel like I'm not so quick to do that. I mean, it has to be something... My rule, I guess, when I'm thrifting now is, do you absolutely love it? Like, is this... You cannot leave it there. You know, if you're just like, oh, this is cute, don't throw it in your cart if you're just, Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, you have to be in love with that item to bring it home. I mean, for me at least. And that way you don't end up with just so much junk that you're never going to use.
Well, it's tempting to think whenever you start going to thrift shops, going to antique shops, before you become really familiar with the things that you end up seeing over and over again, to think that maybe they are really unique and like you'll never see them again. And the truth is, once you get really familiar, you'll be like, oh, I saw this plate 1,000 times. It obviously isn't that valuable. And you start to gauge like what it's worth. And you see the same things over and over again. You become familiar with their price. You become familiar with if it's truly rare. But I think when you're starting out, the temptation is like, this must be a bargain. This is so cool. But not really realize that like, they're actually a dime a dozen. It is cool, but you have to, like you said, love it and know its value before you bring it home.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, do you have, whenever you're out and about, do you have a place for something? Like, are you like, I'm going to buy this because it can go here? Or do you end up buying it and then think I'll figure it out later?
Oh man, I try to be that way, but I'll admit there have been a few things that I found that I had no idea where I was going to put them, and I'm so glad that I ended up just going with my gut and getting them.
Yeah.
Like there's a little basket in my entryway. Well, it's not very little actually. It's pretty tall. It's like, I don't know, it's 3 tiers. Have you seen that one in my entryway next to my door? Everybody asks me about that basket, and to be honest, my mom found it. She was thrifting, and she sent me a picture and said, look at this cute basket, it's $15 and it's here at the thrift store, do you want it? And I was like, oh, that's so pretty, but I don't know where I would put it. Like, I can't think of a place for it. And I almost, she kept saying, yeah, she's like, Andrea, it's really cool. I feel like I should just get it for you. It's really cool.
I feel like it almost like defines your whole entryway, because I can picture it totally.
I know.
Like, I'm like, well, of course, that's the basket from Andrea's house. Yeah.
Yes. Isn't that so funny that I almost, and I said, okay, fine. She's like, it's $15, so I thought, yeah, okay, grab it. I'll find a place for it. It's so pretty, I will find a place for it. So I do think there are items like that, like, if you can't stop thinking about them, if you're just like, man, I love this, I don't know where I'm going to put it, but I love it so much, then I for sure think you should just go ahead and get it,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know a lot of people would probably disagree with that, but I think it's always changing.
I'm with you, too.
But,
there are times when I buy something where I don't know where I'm going to put it. Usually I like to think I would, but sometimes I definitely don't, because I want to I know I'll use it somewhere.
Yeah.
So do you have like a color palette? Like, do you have that in mind when you're there?
Yeah, I would say so. I don't really, I think I like to stick to neutrals, and I tend to really love blue. I have pops of blue all throughout my home. I have some blue and white dishes in my dining room. I have some blue pillows. I have one of your pillows still in my living room from when you used to. Yeah. That ticking stripe pillow.
Well, blue is just calming. I think the reason why people who like neutrals like blue is because it just ties in really well and feels calming. And
it really does.
Your whole home has a calm vibe to it, and so I can see that you would like blue.
Thank you. Yeah.
But I do think it
blue
helps
really
though
pretty.
to have sort of a palette and sort of your style defined before you start bringing home a bunch of stuff, because then you know it's going to go with your other things. Because sometimes the problem is you want to bring something home, but you don't really know how it's going to look in the context of your home.
Yeah.
And then, do you have any like regret purchases? Actually, I mentioned one. I mentioned a couple on our, Andrea and I have a YouTube video going up this week where we talk about our Facebook Marketplace finds and our tips and things like that. And so I do mention a few of mine on there, but yeah.
Yeah. I will say that I'm a very visual person. And so I get people all the time that tell me like, oh, you should design, or would you ever do design consultation or whatever? And I would be so awful at it. Like I can't even make decisions sometimes in my own home. Like, I have to see it to know sometimes.
Yes.
And so, yeah, for
I'm
sure.
the same way.
Yeah,
I feel the same when people ask me that question. Like, would you design? I'm like, oh, you don't want me. Because I just constantly...
Definitely not. Yeah, I mean, it takes me a while to figure out a space sometimes, you know? Like, there are still places in my home where I feel completely stumped. Like, I have no idea. Okay. I'm just like, I could not... I don't know. I could not design for someone, I don't think. But yeah, I have totally bought something and brought it home and thought, man, this does not work in this space like I thought it was going to. And thankfully, a lot of thrift stores, not all of them, but I think most of them let you return things.
Oh, I've never even thought about trying that. Are you serious?
I've returned a lot of stuff.
Like a lost cause. Like whenever too bad it was from a thrift shop, because, you know, that's always what stops me from buying things sometimes.
There's one thrift shop here in my town where they will not reimburse you, but they'll give you store credit, which is better than nothing. You know, if you hate what you ended up bringing home, it's nice to be able to have at least some store credit to be able to pick something else out.
Is it you that has a really cool bathroom vanity?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool.
I'm thinking it's you. I'm pretty sure it's you.
Honestly, I don't show it very often. I feel like I showed it a lot when I first started my Instagram account, but I'm not completely in love with how that bathroom looks, which is silly. I shouldn't care. But we put in like linoleum flooring because that was one of the first projects we did when we moved in. We were trying to save money. But anyways, I took I went to a lumber yard and I found these fence posts in a barrel marked down to $5. And I grabbed 2 of them because they were really thick and they had some detail on them, and I thought, oh, these could be something really cool. And I was flipping through a Pottery Barn magazine and I saw a vanity in there with these 2 really thick front legs, and it was kind of open, so there was no storage underneath. They just had like baskets for storage underneath. But so I showed my dad, and he sort of helped me build it one day. Mike was at work. I mean, my husband is super handy. He could have done it too, but for whatever reason, I think I was just excited. I called my dad and he came over. I mean, it was so simple to put together. But it's kind of a cool...
But I need to look at it again. I as you're describing it, I can recall it. But I remember thinking it was a really neat idea. You should share it again. I do think it was years ago that I saw that.
Yeah, really simple. I mean, the whole project probably cost like $20 because the rest of the wood I had was all scrap too. So really thrifty idea. I forgot about that.
Well, I don't know how to add photos to my show notes, but if I can, and I'll try to figure that out, I'll add that so people can see what we're talking about. Or you'll just have to go to her Instagram and scroll way back.
Well, you can go to my blog. I think it's on my blog in my tour my home section. I have it on there, so you could see it there if you wanted to. But I've been wanting to give that bathroom a little makeover, but other things have come up, and you know how that goes.
Oh my goodness, all the time. Yeah, there's so many projects. Yep. So I guess one more thing we could talk about is homes coming together over time. Yes. So how long have you lived in your home?
We moved in March of 2012. So
okay, so you've been there 8 years.
Yep.
And your home is really, really beautiful. But did it how long did it take to take shape and for you to, hone down this cottage style? And
it's still taking shape, I feel like. I mean, oh my word, if you could see photos from when we first moved in. I mean...
Well, you have the before and after tour.
Yep, but I mean, I think
YouTube
those pictures were literally like when we moved in, empty house. You know, I'm talking about my style. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
like, it for sure takes a long time to figure that out. And especially when you're on a budget, I think it's important. It doesn't just happen overnight, you know? Like, all of the pieces in my home have just been slowly collected over time. And... you know, I try to tell people that all the time when they're feeling discouraged about, you know, their style or not being able to afford the things that they really love. I'm just always saying, just be patient. I promise, just be patient, and it'll slowly come together as you find pieces for your home. It will come together. You just, you know.
Yes, it will. And things will change a lot. You know, one time you'll think you have a room done, and then you'll end up deciding that the style didn't quite fit, and then you'll keep your eye out at thrift shops. And the first priority is just a comfortable home. And if it comes together, you know, if a comfortable home for your family, and if it comes together and looks pretty over time, that's a bonus.
Yep, for sure. And it's definitely a bonus when you have 3 little rambunctious boys and everything was thrifted.
Yes.
I mean,
right. I know.
I don't know. It's tough because sometimes when they break things, I'm like, oh, I can't go get a replacement for that because it was thrifted.
But at the same time, it was only $3.
Exactly.
You know?
So it's like, oh, you know, it's like.
I have the same rule with like plates I hang on my wall, because I have plates on my wall and they're pretty, but none of them cost more than a couple dollars.
Yep. So,
because otherwise they will get knocked off the wall at some point.
Oh, for sure. I mean, even my husband just the other day, I was out, I think, getting groceries, and he called me, and he's like, I broke something. And I said, I'm like, what did you break? He told me, and I said, oh, that was like $3, Mike. It's okay. But it's true. That's the good thing about thrifting and not spending so much money. I mean, I don't even know what I would do if I had expensive things all over my home. I would probably be on edge all the time with my boys.
Yeah. Well, you can't have... You just have to be okay with it.
For sure.
Your home has to be comfortable and lived in, not a show piece. I don't know. Do you get asked a lot how you keep... Because you have white walls in your house, and I get people all the time who ask me, how do you have white with kids? And I don't feel like you rub your feet and your hands all over the wall all the time.
I mean...
I'm sure you get that a lot too, right?
All the time. I mean, first of all, I'm not going to show those ugly photos of my laundry piled up in my dishes. Yeah. Like, I want to inspire people. I don't want them to be like, ugh, you know, she needs to clean her house. Like, I'll show that in stories more. You know, I try to be real with people in stories and show them, like, oh, this is project mode at our house. You know, it's a complete mess. But no, and one thing that's funny to me is, like, like I said, I have 3 boys, and, you know, with six children, right? 6 now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was in the bathroom. We have that same bathroom we were talking about earlier. It's all white beadboard. And I was cleaning around the toilet, and I looked at the wall, and I was like, I'm glad this is white so I can see all of this stuff. Like, I can't even imagine. If it was like a dark color, I would probably miss half of it. You know, it's just so...
Yeah, right.
So sometimes it's a good thing.
That is true, because when people ask me that, I'm like, well, and you know, every color gets dirty just the same, right?
Exactly. People said that when I got a white sink. They're like, oh, it's going to be so dirty because it's white, you know? But I'm thinking, like, I would rather see it and be able to clean it, you know, than it just be hidden. But... anyways.
Yeah, and it's worth it for a fresh white sink. Yeah. It's just worth it. Some things are worth the time that's going to take to scrub it.
Absolutely.
Andrea has, if you want to check out her YouTube channel, I was looking at you have tips on how to find thrifted items for your kitchen. You have lots of DIYs on your channel and home tours. Pretty much all things decor and DIY. Yeah. Cottage style, thrifty.
Yep. I have ventured into a few recipes here and there, but you know what? They don't seem to do as well for me as home decor. And I don't know if
and I think a lot of times it's you build up a certain audience. So your most popular videos are your home, and it's beautiful, so it makes sense. So a lot of times I think the people that are following you
are following for that.
Are interested in that. Well, they're interested,
Yeah.
But everybody's interested in food at some point. You have to cook.
For sure. Yep.
And
I do want to get into that more, and that's one thing that I think, kudos to you. Sometimes I think when it's dinner time at our house, sometimes it can be kind of stressful to, you know what I mean? To pull out the camera and let me take pictures of this real quick.
Oh, yes. Totally. I know. People it almost, when you're watching YouTube, you feel like there was just a camera crew following them around, and you don't really think about what it took to make the video.
Yes, and hold on, let me take some pictures of this real quick before we eat it.
Exactly. I know. I've totally had my kids before be like, can I eat this yet? Like, yep, just cooking. No camera.
Yep. So, yeah. I'll get there one day, maybe. I'm still learning.
Yeah. No.
Still learning.
I actually have a harder time with the decor things because my house is just so crazy and such a mess. Whereas, like, with cooking, I am just always cooking. And so I just have it on the tripod in the kitchen. It hardly ever leaves the camera.
That's a good idea.
But yeah, my house, like, if I look around right now, there is no way I could record any kind of tour, any kind of decor, anything. Somebody asked me if I was going to do like a spring tour, and I'm like,
if only.
No, I am not.
Oh yeah, tours are for sure stressful because that's the whole house. So,
they are.
Yeah.
Yes. Whole house clean at one time. Well, thank you so much, Andrea. You've been a long time blog and Instagram friend, and you're new to YouTube, so now a YouTube friend.
Yeah.
And I was really happy to have you on the podcast. Again, go check out all of her other ideas because she has tons of them. We just barely scratched the surface, and obviously it's a visual thing. So there's way more to see. Eye candy over there on the YouTube channel. Thanks again for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
All right, well, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Simple Farmhouse Life podcast. If you have not yet left a review, there's been some amazing reviews over there. I appreciate every single one of you that has. I would really appreciate it if you would take the time. If you're on iTunes, just go ahead and leave a little review. It doesn't take much time, and it really helps my podcast to grow. For this week's random Instagram question, if you could do your wedding over again, what would you do differently? Our wedding was amazing. Obviously, it was our wedding, but there definitely would be some things I would do differently. I was not at all interested in the decor or really anything with the wedding planning. I just wanted to get married. And going back, I would likely want to design a really pretty wedding and maybe do it outside. Actually, there's a place nearby here that would be amazing and beautiful. But we were engaged in September, and we did not want to wait long. We just wanted to get married. And so we ended up getting married in December, which was just left for a 3-month engagement. So I probably really wouldn't have gotten married outside because I wouldn't have wanted to push it off much more. All in all, it was perfect. I would just change some of the decor. Now, some things that I really loved about my wedding, I wore a 50s dress that I found at a costume shop, and it was just so pretty. I loved that dress. I would definitely not change that. Also, we had 6 inches of snow. Since everyone ended up showing up and there weren't any accidents on the way home, I would say that I actually am happy that that happened because we had some really pretty photos because of the snow. So, of course, it was a wonderful night. As always, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode of the Simple Farmhouse Life podcast.